Everyone. This is our first content video. This is on Module 1, Chapters 1, 3, and 5. If you have any discussion, anything you want to add to any of the chapters, that is going to be our Discord content conversations channel or content questions. So my hope for these videos is you come into these videos having read the chapters that we're going to discuss, and I kind of go over the main overarching themes of these chapters and what important things we need to take away from the reading. So let's get started with chapter 1. We start right with ethics, economy, and entrepreneurship. So first of all, let's talk about why in this book we're going to talk ethics and entrepreneurship with economy. Economy in general is just the way our institution organizes cooperation and trade. So in cooperation, we must have ethical standards. We must keep ethics in order to have these trading partners, to create relationships with others, with trading partners, with complete strangers that the market is able to bring us to in order to cooperate, in order to trade. Entrepreneurship is important as well, because you'll find that through profitability, through being able to provide these goods and services, we push innovation. Entrepreneurship is going to be what makes innovation thrive in an economy. So let's start off with the idea that humans are all born with these given talents, skill sets, and throughout a lifetime, we cultivate these skills. Each individual, throughout a lifetime, like I said, they choose a career path that they're going to specialize in, and whatever career that may be, they're providing some kind of good labor or service to another in exchange for labor wages. If we think back to medieval times, people were working for not only wages, they might have been working for food, for housing. We can think of the early humans. They, in order to survive throughout their lives, they had to cultivate skills such as hunting and gathering, such as building households, being able to create heat and air and whatever it may be. All these skills had to be cultivated in order to survive. And now with this human progress, with this innovation, we are able to cultivate skills and not as an individual have to worry about cultivating only skills that help us survive. We're able to bring our skills and share them with everyone else. So we don't have to use our lifetimes in order to create some kind of self-sustaining life. Okay? So let's talk about the idea. In the book, we talked about a pizza. If I want a pizza, I need a lot of skills. If I were to imagine myself in a medieval time, I have to have a lot of skills in order to make a pizza for myself. I have to be able to harvest wheat. I have to be able to raise cows for the dairy. I have to be able to plant tomatoes for the sauce. There are a lot of different things that go into just this making a pizza, a lot of different skill sets that go into that. So like I said, what we've done is devise our labor into specialties. People specialize in these trades. And so bringing all these specialized trades together is what allows an economy, allows a society to function. So instead of having to go out in my backyard and plant wheat and tomatoes and go out to a farm and buy livestock, I can call Casa de Amici and say, hey, I have $15 and I'd like to buy an extra large pizza. Takes about an hour in comparison to, like I said, if I were to have to raise that wheat, that livestock in order to produce all of my own goods to make this one pizza. So that's just one example of why specializing trade is important, how trade functions, how in our everyday life, in every little instance we have, we might not realize it, but there are a lot of skills that go into the goods we use every day, that we utilize, the services we provide and we utilize throughout the day. So, like I said, these skill sets are, people bring all these different skill sets to the table, so to speak, to the market, and we're able to trade with one another and cooperate in order to exchange for other goods and services we may need. So let's talk about that word cooperate I just used. Cooperation, according to the book, is one of mankind's best traits. Cooperation allows for social progress. It allows for us to come together and trade these goods and services that we may specialize in order to help us sustain a life where we're able to go out and buy this wheat, buy the tomatoes, and in exchange for some other kind of good, service, monetary exchange, whatever it may be. Cooperation leads to innovation, okay? So from all of this, we might ask, and this is my dog's first debut, in and out of the door. So like I said, you might see him popping in and out of the videos. I apologize. But from all of this in chapter 1, we talk about ethics and economy and entrepreneurship and trade and cooperation. So we ask, what exactly is trade and who is benefiting from trade? Trade is just an exchange with a mutual benefit, some kind of agreed on mutual benefit. So when two parties come to trade, there must be something that one party is willing to give up in exchange for another. They think they're better off after that trade if they are participating in this trade. Same thing goes with the second party in this. So we talk about the fallacy in chapter 5 a little bit more of a zero-sum game. Trade is not a zero-sum game. A zero-sum game is where in order for one person to win, another must lose. So we think of that idea with board games, with sidewalk games, where in order for somebody to win, someone else may lose, has to lose. In trade, this is not the case. There are not winners and losers. We think about that everybody is mutually gaining from this exchange, okay? So who's benefiting from trade? The short answer is everybody benefits from trade, okay? All right, so economy. Let's talk about economy. We can define this economy as the framework of cooperation within a society. Really simple meaning. This cooperation leads to trade, and it allows us to function as a society. Functioning economies allow people who are complete strangers to be able to come together and exchange their goods and services, okay? So that is the beauty of economy. Economy for 40,000 years ago with the Neanderthal age, that wasn't a thought. They weren't cooperating. They didn't have the tools needed to be able to cooperate with one another. But now in our modern society, we do have an economy. It's a framework in order for us to cooperate and make trades, okay? For all of us to be better off. So we can imagine that 40,000 years ago, these Neanderthals were probably a lot worse off than we are today because of the specialization of this trade, because of this cooperation, okay? So the study of economy. What is economy and the study of economy? We said it's the framework for which a society operates. The study of economy is looking at, in particular, the services we're able to provide to others, and those services others are able to provide for us, okay? So profit will tell us how feasible a service may be to provide. So that's kind of where the entrepreneurship comes in. Any single person, any single one of us has something to offer to this world. And that's a great, really happy kind of thought for us to think that everybody has some kind of good or service to offer to the world. But profit is going to tell us how feasible it is to provide this. Profit's also going to determine what we're able to afford in return for whatever service we're providing, okay? So trade is leading to this division of labor, the specialization in labor. So a cool example in the book we talk about is, we'll talk about in the next chapter a little more, is in Greece. When Greece's population became too large to maintain on their own, they needed to find trading partners in order to provide something that was special to Greece, that they could sell at a higher cost in order to provide themselves more food. So that's kind of a cool example. We'll get into in a little bit. Economy and law is one topic that is super important. Law gives us the basis for which trade, for which we cooperate and coordinate in general. Law will give us the ability, it gives us the tools to be able to trade. So when we have common law, this contract law that is going to help us make these trades, everybody knows what to expect out of that trade, making it more likely to take part in that trade. So this contract law just maintains cultural, legal, and ethical frameworks for managing this commercial traffic, commerce going on in the economy, okay? Morality, once again, is going to be an important theme throughout the book, saying that like we can develop reputations as trading partners, as businesses, as someone looking to provide something to others. We must have these moral and ethical standards for trade, okay? So chapter 5, a little bit about trade. Any fundamental relationship is going to be a trading relationship. Any fundamental market relationship is going to be that trading relationship where people are exchanging services on mutually agreed terms. So once again, when we come to trade, when we have some sort of market relationship, trading relationship, we know that there are mutually agreed on terms that we are both satisfied with and decide that, yes, it's worth it to make this trade. So I like to use the example of a relationship. It's not any kind of goods or service. It's not, I mean, I am technically providing goods, services, whatever it may be. But in terms of a relationship, we can think about two parties. We have two parties in a relationship, and each party is not going to enter that relationship unless there are some mutually agreed on terms, unless they believe that they're going to be better off with this trade, in this relationship, than they would be on their own without this trade. Okay, so a relationship is a good example for trade being not a zero-sum game. Okay, there is mutual benefit for both parties if a trade is occurring. So cooperation and trade really become synonymous terms. Okay. Because in order to have trade, we need that cooperation. The same thing is really going on underneath for both parties when a trade is occurring. So this is where social progress thrives. This is where innovation occurs, where we can all specialize in certain services, goods, knowledge, certain niches, and we're able to bring all of these together in order to benefit all of mankind, okay? So one big thing that has happened in the past 40,000 years that has allowed us to be able to cooperate and make these trades is a modern language. Modern language has given us that means of communicating intentions, or communicating negotiations, and it has allowed for that cross-cultural fertilization where we are not only now one society, we are a society connected to many other societies. We can think back to the Stone Age where people were living, or the people were living in caves, and there wasn't much travel. But with the use of technology and our increase, with all the innovation that has taken place in the past 40,000 years, we are able to make these negotiations, these trades now. Modern language was a large stepping stone for that. So secondly, a large stepping stone for trade was the development of property rights. So property rights are knowing that what should belong to you belongs to you. Your goods and services belong to you. So we think back to trade in medieval times where we have to make some large voyage across the seas in order to trade with our partners. One, security on the seas. We had to protect our goods from pirates, thieves, whoever was coming to come and take our goods. Property rights were not well maintained. They were not well established during that time. So in the case where we thought our goods were very valuable and we had to protect them at all times because there were no laws, no established laws to protect our goods for us. So now with the establishment of these property rights, people are much more willing to trade, okay? With the establishment of these property rights, we can say no to a trade and still be able to walk away with our goods, with the security, knowing that our goods are our goods, our services are our services, and we do not need to provide them if we don't believe there's some kind of mutual benefit from providing these services for a trade, okay? So these property rights kind of switch the mindset from protecting our goods. These are our goods for us and nobody else should benefit. I don't want these taken. To now we think of everybody as a trading partner. We think of these are our goods and services and we're able to bring them out into the world and market them. We're able to literally advertise goods now these days, thinking that everybody is a trading partner because of this security of property rights. So this leads to a lot less vulnerability when trading. This leads to more security in our trades. And it leads to, like I said, everybody's expecting the same thing. We have these expectations set out in stone, and we know what we're expecting before we can go into this trade. So instead of defending our goods, so instead of the mindset that we need to defend what is ours, we're now focusing on what of mine can I bring to other people that they will value and they will exchange for other things, okay? So what can I offer the world? So I talked earlier about the example of Greece, how their population had gotten so large, they were unable to sustain their own population's hunger. They were unable to feed their own population. So in the book, it's called Beyond Barter for Better and Worse. We talk about how Greece realizes their unique skills. Greece is able to grow oils and they're able to grow olives, grapes and olives, a lot better than a lot of other lands. So Greece starts to realize that, hey, we could specialize in growing these olives and grapes and selling these for a higher price in order to afford buying food from other trading partners. So in this case, trade literally saved millions, saved people from going hungry at this point. They were unable, Greece's land and agriculture was unable to keep up with the rising population. It was unable to feed each other. We were unable to feed our own citizens. So like I said, in exchange, they said, hey, we could specialize in these two goods and we could make enough money in return for those goods in order to buy food and the nutrition, the nutrients needed for our citizens, okay? So trade literally saved the day in this case. All right, so those are kind of the main ideas from chapters 1, 3, and 5. Trade, cooperation, social progress, innovation. All those 4 things, if we take those from our first few chapters and apply those and ask questions in each chapter coming forward, we're good to go. I think those 4 themes are going to be discussed a lot. We're going to listen to a lot of examples, not just Greece, but other examples where cooperation and trade and all of this have come together to make this a better world for everyone to live in, okay? This book really has an overarching theme of how have we made society better over the years? How has economics and ethics and entrepreneurship, how have they played a role in pushing forward social progress throughout the years? Okay. All right. Well, thank you for watching this first content video. Like I said, every week, I'd like to go through and discuss the chapters we're reading just through this asynchronous video. And then in the Discord channel, we can there have content conversations about what we're reading. We can ask questions, whatever it may be. All right. Thank you. And stay tuned for the second half of module 1. Thanks.